1. To give a bit of context, as a child I always wanted to become an actor. I went to drama school, did lessons, improv classes, etc. But life got in the way and I followed a different path, and the acting dream became exactly that. A dream. So this occurred a few years ago. It was a Saturday like any other. I was traveling on the train heading into the city to run a few errands, pick up a couple of comic books, and meet a friend for a beer. As I am sitting on the train with my headphones in and avoiding any and all contact, I notice a young couple staring at me and whispering to each other. I think that they're just being rude and blatantly talking shit, so I just ignore it when all of a sudden the guy gets up, egged on by his partner, and he approaches me. I can't remember word for word, but it went something along these lines. "Are you Stevie B? You are, aren't you?" Yeah. Do I know you, mate?" "Nah, but I'm a massive fan of your work." At this point, I'm utterly confused. Had I made some sort of unknown strides in office administration? "Are you sure you've got the right person?" At this point, they ask for a selfie. I think that someone has put them up to it as a massive joke or something, but I go along with it and take a selfie pulling a funny face. At this point, a few other passengers have looked over to see what's going on. I'm now getting approached by several people asking for selfies and autographs. I'm being asked, "Why are you taking the train? What are you doing around here?" etc. I mean, how else am I getting into town? A woman tells me she loved that film I did with Tom Hanks. Another guy says he was gutted when my character died on Game of Thrones. I think this is some sort of hidden camera show or fantastically orchestrated practical joke using all these characters. We pull into a station and the announcement comes through that the train is being taken out of service and we have to get off the train and take the next one due to a problem with the doors. Cue the audible groans. I get off the train, the doors close, and I wait at the platform. I look around and see no one else has gotten off. No one who asked for pictures or autographs were anywhere to be seen. And I look at the train. It hadn't been taken out of service at all. It was full of passengers going on its merry way without me. At this point, I'm dumbstruck. I sit on a bench and try to process what happened. I come to the conclusion that it was an extremely crafted practical joke. However, it's been 3 years and no one has come forward to claim it was them. I still don't really know what to make of it. It all felt so real, which is why I still think it was a well-executed prank. Or I had some sort of breakdown. Or it was a glitch in dimensions. I really don't know. I told my friend later that day and he thought I was crazy. If it did turn out to be real and these fans ever read this message, I apologize for being a bit of a dick to some of you. 2. So this is an odd one, and I'm still freaking out about it a little bit, but I'm hoping there's some highly logical explanation I'm overlooking. About 5 years ago, my family bought an HD TV, one of the LCD ones with LED backlighting. Pretty fancy at the time, but not smart or anything. 55-inch. We hung it over the fireplace on a TV mount, as one does, and it worked fine for a long time with no issues. One year my little brother was having a birthday party and his friend crashed an RC helicopter into the TV. Hard. Like lost control from across the room. It sped over, slammed into it, hit it with the blades a few times and smacked against it, then slid down and broke on the ground in front of the fireplace. The helicopter I was able to fix with spare parts, but the TV didn't take this very well, and the spot of impact broke and got that dead zone look from random black swatches. There was a big swatch, if I remember right, about 2 inches across, jagged, and was going down about 7 inches of screen to the very bottom, and a smaller about 2 inch by 1 inch spot next to it, near the top of said damage where the blades had also hit. The TV was technically still watchable, but it drove us all fucking insane to have those splotches there, and I remember asking around and realizing there wasn't much to be done about it, as it seemed like the LCD itself was damaged. It was jagged damage, like snapping a twig too. Not cleanly along the pixels or anything. After about a week of this, we splurged and got a new one, different brand, and hung it up, taking the old one upstairs to my little brother's room. He was still decently young and just liked having a big TV in his room, even if it had massive chunks missing in the picture. This kept up until eventually the TV started showing more signs of age, glitching and not changing inputs, freezing on one frame randomly, stuttering, etc. Seemed like it wasn't processing right at all. We tried everything, even messing with the dead zones to see if it was like LCD fluid loose or whatever. But cleaning the screen and resetting everything did nothing to fix either problem. We took it down to the basement and stashed it away under a blanket, feeling guilty about just throwing away an entire TV even if it was mostly unusable. I think at the time we thought maybe we could fix the other problems at least. It still had the splotches, distinctly, by the way. We stored it down there for a few years and didn't think much of it. Cue our recent move, well, about a year ago. That TV came along with us, just another thing to be thrown in the truck, still wrapped in the same blanket, and went right into the basement in the new house. The replacement TV we had purchased then still works fine and is the centerpiece of the new living room still. However, the other day I was clearing shit out of the basement and came across the old one, deciding to peek at it to see if there was any way it could be salvaged. I hooked up the Nintendo Switch to it, turned it on, and still the same stuttering, no signal, freezing, etc. Glitches, but no splotches. I flipped my shit. I managed to get a menu to pull up that showed colors other than the plain blue screen, and still no splotches. The TV is electronically borked still, but the huge swatches of LCD damage are just fixed. I showed the rest of the family and they seemed as baffled as me, and confirmed they too remembered the damage. I pressed the screen in gently with my finger to make it do that wispy effect LCD screens do, but tracing the whole thing like that didn't uncover any damage or shift anything back to broken. I even looked at it with a flashlight turned off. No sign of physical damage. I just don't get it. It's not like it's even usable still, but my mind is spinning. What the hell could have happened to make a busted LCD totally repair itself? I've heard of dead pixels working again, but giant dead swatches that seem totally destroyed? It's definitely the same TV too. Same brand, same glitches. And the only other HD TV we have is the perfectly working one currently in use. Unless I can figure out a crazy explanation, I'm chalking this one up to a glitch. Crazy shit when it happens to you. 3. My 27th birthday was earlier this month, and between my 3 grandparents, I got $100 birthday money. I was going to an event the weekend of my birthday, seeing Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning live, as one of my birthday presents for my parents, so I decided to save it all for that, for the merch table and such. I had a job interview a day or two after I got the money, and I was getting ready to go to it. I took the money out of my wallet where I'd stashed it, with the intent of putting it in one of the drawers of my jewelry box. It's where I always stick money I don't want to carry in my wallet, usually to keep myself from spending it. This time was no different. I was going to go shopping for a birthday present for my dad after the interview, and I didn't want my birthday money with me lest I be tempted to spend it before going to see Rhett and Link. I distinctly recall getting it out of my wallet and double-checking it. It was in the form of a $50 bill, 2 $20 bills, and a $10 bill. I put it up, finished getting ready, and left the house. Fast forward to the day of the show. I'm excited, and after getting ready, including a struggle with myself to decide what to wear, I go to grab my money so I can stick it back in my wallet. Except the only thing I can find is the $50 bill. The 2 $20s and the 10 are gone. I'm confused. I know for a fact I didn't spend any of it. I searched every drawer of my jewelry box multiple times, my wallet, purse, and the rest of my bedroom, figuring I might have dropped it when I went to put it up. Nothing. I finally shrug and just take the $50 and leave. I didn't really need the full $100 anyways. I keep looking in the days after that though, because I remember the other reason I was hanging on to my birthday money. I have an aunt and uncle on my mom's side that make tie-dye t-shirts, and I commissioned one from them. I need to be able to pay them when it's done, and that was the other thing I was going to use my birthday money on. So more hunting, including checking my jewelry box again multiple times, because I'm convinced it has to be in there somewhere. Nope, nada. Fast forward again to earlier today. I was getting dressed to go through the drive-thru and pick up dinner. I was checking myself out in a Halloween outfit. orange jack-o'-lantern t-shirt, black jeans, orange low-top Converse, for fun, and decided to see if I had a necklace that would go with my outfit. I started looking through my jewelry box drawers, and lo and behold, when I opened the bottom drawer, laying there right on top was my money. Thing is, I have no idea how it got there. See, it was laying on a card I had gotten from another aunt on my mom's side, who passed away almost 3 years ago. I distinctly recall it falling out of my jewelry box one of the many times I hunted through it for the money. I had picked it up, looked at it for a moment, and put it back, no money in sight. I'm at a complete loss to explain it, unless it was a glitch or my aunt helping me out. 4. I'll start by explaining the layout of my game room in my childhood home. I really hope this makes sense because I was always shitty at explaining this part when telling others this story. Please let me know if you need any clarification. When you go up the stairs, it opens up to a main room. A TV stood up against the left wall and 2 brown couches opposite the TV. One is against the right wall and the other is facing away from you, making a 90-degree angle and also forming a hallway and walkway to my brother's room and my room. The walkway behind the couch leads straight to my brother's room, which is behind the right wall, and branches off to the right to an actual hallway that leads to my room. I'm pretty sure that's all the room description needed for this story, but if I missed anything, I'll be sure to edit it in later. I was 11, meaning my brother was 19. He was obese as a kid and got into parkour to lose weight. He got so obsessed with it that he would stay out late every night with his friends jumping around and shit. That night at around 10:30 to 11, I was watching Ghost Adventures, one of my favorite shows, even though I knew back then it was 50 Shades of Fake, on the couch directly facing the TV, my dog, a Labrador Collie mix, curled up beside me. My brother was out doing parkour with a family friend that lived around 45 minutes away. I heard the front door open, which was right at the bottom of the stairs, and someone walking irregularly up the stairs. I saw my brother reach the top and collapse at the top of the stairs, breathing heavily. I could see the white shirt he was wearing was soaked down his back with sweat, but that was normal. He just came back from jumping over buildings and doing flips and stuff. Of course he would be out of breath and sweaty. He had longer hair at the time, and it was covering his face. I never actually saw his face this whole time. My dog started growling, which immediately raised some alarms in my head. She never growls at anyone, unless they give her a bad feeling. Usually strangers on the street, definitely no one in my family. And definitely not my brother. She absolutely adores people. The hair on her back was sticking straight up, and she was leaning into me like she was scared. I said hi to him, and he didn't answer. He didn't give me any indication that he even heard me. He was still breathing heavily, laying on top of the stairs and holding himself up with his arms. My dog was still growling and had started whining and glancing between him and me. I said something along the lines of, "Fine, screw you then," since he didn't answer, and he started moving, crawled to his room, hidden behind the other couch. I decided not to follow, not to bother him. He was still an angsty teenager and was known to yell at me if I was even a little bit annoying. My dog stopped growling, but her fur never went back down. An hour later, I was still on the couch, still watching Ghost Adventures, when I heard the front door open again. My brother ran up the stairs, said hi to me, and was about to go to his room when I stopped him. I asked him, "Didn't you just come home like an hour ago?" And he said no, I was at family friend's house, eating Sonic. He showed me a bag of Sonic leftovers he had. Confused, I didn't say anything else and just let him go to his room. Nothing happened after that. I actually told my brother about it around 2 years ago, and he was really freaked out. He kept asking me why I didn't tell him, but I don't know. I just thought he had snuck out again after he got home or was trying to scare me. I really don't know what or who the first guy could have been. He looked just like my brother, save for his face, which I never got a good look at. Same hair, same clothes, same backpack. I don't know why my shy, loving, non-aggressive dog was growling. It still boggles me to this day. I think the biggest possibility is a mimic or maybe astral projection. I heard that the latter only happens when the person is under great stress. My brother was severely bulimic at the time, though he would never admit it. I remember since we shared a bathroom, I could hear him throwing up after meals every day. I didn't understand it back then, but recently made the connection. Any explanation would be appreciated. Thanks. 5. So this is a strange little story. I'm going to try my best to describe it in a way that will make sense. So my mom called me one day a few years ago, and I could tell immediately she was very upset. I could hear my dad in the background now and then trying to calm her, or come up with some sort of explanation of what had just happened. I remember it very clearly. I asked her what was wrong, fearing someone had passed or something horrible had happened to a loved one. And although, thankfully, it was nothing of the sort, what she explained next still makes the hair in the back of my neck stand up, if I think about it long enough. So my mom is resting back in bed, reading some news on her phone, messing around on Facebook, nothing out of the ordinary. It's the middle of the day. She sees something on Facebook that reminds her of something she and my dad were discussing earlier in the day, and she gets up off the bed to go show this something or other thing to my dad. From the left side of the bed she gets up, walks to and through the little hallway that leads out of the living room, and as soon as she reaches the doorway to the living room, she sees that my dad is asleep in his recliner taking a little nap. So of course, instead of waking him, she just pivots and heads right back into the bedroom. She goes a couple of steps down the little hallway, intending to just sit back down in bed, but stops dead in her tracks. The blue workout ball was sitting motionless in the middle of the floor between the dresser and the bed, the exact area she had just walked through on her way out of the living room, not 10 seconds ago. As she's explaining this to me, she actually starts crying on the phone, and I'm asking her why she's crying and what she's feeling, and she tells me she feels like her feelings are hurt, like something was playing a cruel trick on her, which I found odd, because my mom's never really been a believer of spooky kind of stuff like spirits or ghosts or entities. I asked her if she felt like there was some sort of presence in the room with her at the time it happened. Moreover, if it felt malevolent. She said not really, she just felt kind of frozen, unable to explain how just seconds before seeing this ball sitting in the middle of the room, she had just crossed that specific path to go from the bed to the living room to talk to my dad, who just happened to be asleep. Had the ball been there when she got up to do that, she would have run right into it, at the very least seen it. But she didn't. Moreover, why would it even be out? She doesn't use it, hasn't used it in a long, long time. They live there alone with their little blind shih tzu, Charlie. After I managed to calm her down, we went over only a handful of possible explanations for the occurrence. Maybe the cleaning lady, who had been there earlier that day, had moved the ball out of the corner to vacuum in that little corner, and that ball had been there the entire time and my mom just didn't notice it. Highly unlikely, as she would have had to have either moved it out of the way or noticed it enough to circumnavigate it. Maybe somehow their dog had gotten back there in that corner and managed to push the ball up about 32 inches and outwards. However, as I mentioned, her nightstand and the dresser on the adjacent wall are pretty close together. Probably only about 4 or 5 inches of space between the corners of both sides. Not enough room for the dog to squeeze back there to begin with. But furthermore, for that little dog to push that ball up that high to clear the top of the nightstand, not knock anything on the nightstand over, and having done it all so quickly that by the time my mom was back in the hallway heading back to the bed, the ball was sitting completely still. Recounting the story even now, and knowing the kind of people my folks are, they don't fool around with weird stuff like this or tell tales for fun or embellish stories. The inexplicable nature of that event still creeps me out. I cannot fathom how that ball could have possibly gone from sitting in that closed-off little corner of their bedroom for months and months, to sitting perfectly still right in the middle of the walking path from the bed to the little hallway, all in less than 10 seconds, probably less. Their home and that bedroom in general is not big, so it's not like there was some weirdo prank-pulling neighbor playfully hiding somewhere and screwing around. Not that any of their friends or neighbors are that kind of people. I've definitely learned not to bring that story up around my mom. I can tell it still really bothers her, which I don't blame her. It really bothers me. And it didn't even happen to me, but I certainly won't ever forget how my mom sounded on the phone that day. Having zero explanation for that story irks me a bit. Thoughts? Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 5 True Glitch in the Matrix Stories, Episode 86. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I don't know what's going on tonight, but the local ice cream van seems to be farting around a lot more than usual, which is annoying. We're getting towards the point in the evening, though, where I don't know what it's like where you guys live, but I think there's some kind of rule where they're not allowed to play the the little ding 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 ding, the little music thing from their speaker at a certain point at night. So what they do instead, because it's far less obnoxious, is they use a whistle to signal that they're in the area, so that people will know, people in the household will know, oh, the ice cream van's there, they can go and they can buy ice cream or snacks or whatever else. I haven't been to one of these things for a while, so I don't really know what else they sell. And I'd just like to know what genius it was that came up with that idea. It'd be far less annoying and obnoxious if they just used their little, they're just their regular theme tune. Or they just, kind of went home after a certain time at night. But anyway, that's enough grumbles for today. I'm going to head off for now. So until next time... There's a little fly annoying me. Okay, so until next time, thank you very much for listening. And take very good care of yourselves.